What is going on, guys? This is Misin. So I don't know if you've been keeping track of how people are deck building as of lately, but Kash Fenrir is, it's getting to the point where it's pretty much replacing hand traps now, either in the main deck or in the side deck. This card used to just not really see that much play, or at least if it was, then it was kind of like niche. And we're seeing a bunch of Snake Eyes deck list, main deck 3 Fenrir. They're going even further than that, and they're playing multiple Fenrirs with Unicorn, Birth, the Field Spell, etc. That's what we've seen with Andrus Taurus' deck list, while still being able to play 12 hand traps, because that's what the pure Snake Eyes deck is. It's just a deck that can play freaking 19, 20, whatever, non-engine, and it's still pretty consistent because you've got like 15 one-card starters. So there's like a 92-something% chance of you being able to pretty much like full combo, or at least put up like 3+ interruptions with one single card, and then you still have 4 other cards to play with. When one of those cards is Fenrir, then you can add even more interruptions and even more pressure to the board. So today's question is, why should you play Kash Fenrir, and also in which deck and against who? Because again, if this card manages to dodge the ban list, it's going to be even more expensive than it is right now. I think it's like $15 or something right now. It might be like 20. It's going to keep going up and up and up because it is going to be a very good card for next format, that I can guarantee you. But yeah, anyways, before we proceed, I would really appreciate you guys if you could smash the like and subscribe button. It really motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. And with that being said, let's get right into it. Alright, so first things first, everyone knows about its effects. So it's not a hard once per turn inherent summon. You don't have to like activate anything in the hand, so Appaloosa doesn't really deal with it. Whenever either it attacks, so immediately, or on the resolution of your opponent activating a monster effect, you can target one face-up card your opponent controls, banish it face down. The fact that it banishes face down is extremely important, because if it banished cards like Empen and Yubel face up, it wouldn't really be really good, because the Toucan would be able to recycle back the Empen, and the Yubel could still be special summoned back from the banished using Spirit of Yubel. But because of the fact that you're banishing them face down, you're making them lose resources completely permanently. Against Flunderies, it's less relevant because they have multiple copies of Empen, and worst case, they can still kind of win with like Ryza or Apex Avion or something, even though they're not going to be doing too much. But against Yubel, especially if they're only playing one Yubel, you make them lose their one of, and it's kind of just game, honestly. They're going to have like pretty much no win condition. Now, every single time Spirit of Yubel dies, it's never going to be able to summon anything, because there is really just no Yubel to summon in the first place, and you have to go through like the original Yubel to go into the other evolutions, which I believe can only be summoned when Yubel dies, which is catastrophic. Or maybe like you can still summon them ignoring their summoning conditions in other ways, but it's gonna be a little too complicated. So yeah, being able to make them lose cards for the rest of the duel is extremely important, because apart from that, cards like Cypherm Lord Omega, there's pretty much nothing to really allow you to get back cards from that are banished face down into the deck. And also because of the fact that Fenrir is a level 7, if you got cards like, I don't know, Ash or Mourner or Bell or Ogre, you can normal summon them and then make Baron, which again also allows you to deal with annoying things. So it's not too bad, even if you got like a negated Fenrir, because this card is really good at eating interruptions. Like if you go special summon Fenrir going second, your opponent might really be tempted to imperm that. Even if your hand is not the greatest, then you can still normal summon maybe like a duplicate hand trap, or a hand trap that's not really good in the situation. So for example, you're in simplified game state against like Flunderies or something, you don't need Ghost Mourner, so you can just normal summon that. And you can also normal summon Effect Veiler and either go into Borload Savage or go into Omega, because I do remember the way Kash could play back in the days. You would go Kash Fenrir, search Unicorn, and then normal summon Veiler, and then make Omega, and then banish. Your opponent loses one card from the hand, and then you have no monsters, so you can go special summon the Unicorn and either search for the Birth or the Theosis. But you can easily do that with just Birth, so that's really nice. Again, another play that the pure Snake Eyes deck could potentially do right now. They're not really playing Omega in the extra deck, but if you have the space for it, then that's actually a pretty good play. Keep that in mind as well. But Warlord Savage Dragon, that's a really big one, because people are typically relying on Diabell Star in order to get there, but Kash Fenrir is also another tool for that, so that's also pretty nasty. Jet Synchron is another monster that you can use with Kash Fenrir. You can do like double level 8 synchros, because you go Fenrir, search, and then normal summon Jet Synchron, and then make like Omega or something, and then special summon the Fenrir again, and then revive back the Jet Synchron from the grave, make another level 8 synchro. It's just that with only one Omega, it's not like you can double hand loop. And then obviously, in order to beat the floodgates, you got outs to summon limit and anti-spell, because these cards, I mean, especially anti-spell, because anti-spell will always be flipped on draw phase or standby. So then when you summon Fenrir, you just go straight battle phase, attack, banish, and then if your hand is like 5 other spell cards, then you're fine. At summon limit though, you do have to play into it. So if you got like Fenrir and Snake Eye Ash, you have to go special summon the Fenrir in attack position first, and then go normal summon Snake Eye Ash effect, and then they will go summon limit on the Populace. And then you can go, okay, whatever, Fenrir attack, and then banish. and then you can go Snake Eye Ash, send the Fenrir in order to summon maybe like Populous, and then search the original, and then you make a Link Rainbow, and then original send, summon the Oak, and then you still play from there. So it's not the end of the world. You can still inherently beat Summon Limit, even if it is timed correctly. So that's actually really cool. And then Different Dimension Ground and Shifter, I have them there because under these kinds of cards, you can't really rely on your engine usually. So you need non-engine cards to win or just at least survive for one turn. And cards like Fenrir are just, they don't really care too much about these kinds of floodgates because you just summon it and then it doesn't really have to interact with the graveyard in any way. And also you make your money back immediately by searching another Fenrir, which is really important for the follow-up turn because then even if they break your whole board, they will have to like waste resources to navigate around the banishing effect of Fenrir. And then you have got another one next turn, so you just kind of win. So if you want like answers to Different Dimension Ground and Shifter, honestly, Fenrir is probably your best friend because again, it just doesn't care about these cards whatsoever, and you don't have to like expand other cards from your hand in order to just stay in the game. Not to mention that, again, Runic is gaining in popularity, and Kashtira Fenrir being able to banish the fountain is nice because a lot of people are just not playing back removal whatsoever, either in the main deck or the side deck. We have seen this from Pag's deck list from YCS Las Vegas, literally 0 Cosmic Cyclones, 0 Dusters, 0 Lightning Storms. You don't really need those cards. Fenrir is pretty much the only back removal you need. Also, Dino Wrestler Bankrotop's another really good card. By the way, one thing that I really have to mention here again, and I've covered it in the past, but when you are playing cards like Fenrir, you gotta deck build around it. Like, you can't just splash in a Fenrir regardless of the kind of deck that you're playing and just call it a day. Because if you're playing cards like Nibiru, Bystios, or Phantasme, it's not gonna work. Nibiru obviously going second, it summons itself on the field so that when you start your turn, the Fenrir cannot be used. Bystios pretty much the same thing. Phantasme, same thing, unless you're holding them for your own turn, but that's not really great. The goal is really just to use them as interruptions for the most part. So obviously, sometimes they're good to use, even like as board breakers in a way, or like as extenders. They can still have like their applications. You don't deck build like that, so it's not really nice to have conflicting in your hands. So if you are playing Fenrir and you want to play hand traps as well, you can just go with like the really super staple standard like package of 12 hand traps. So 3 Ash, 3 Mourner, 3 Imperm, as well as 3 Veiler. None of them summon themselves on the field, so it's never gonna really make Fenrir any worse, unlike these cards. And again, we have seen this from Andres Torres' deck list. So yeah, no Nibiru, Fenrir instead. Now, one of the reasons why I really like Fenrir, even in the main deck, is that it's never bad even going second against the fire decks when you draw 0 hand traps, because you can put them in really bad positions. So for example, if they got like an Appaloosa for 2, Fenrir immediately runs over it and you don't lose anything. If they've got like an Appaloosa for 3, then you have to use its effect in order to make the Appaloosa lose 800, and then you run over. And if they've got an Appaloosa for 4, then what happens is that you use the effect and then Appaloosa drops to 24 and it's a double crash. So the Fenrir still trades with like 4 interruptions, which is pretty nice. And if they've got like IP on the field with like Princess in the graveyard, the Fenrir is insane here because they have an option of either going Princess first and then they can't use IP into SP or Appaloosa because they're fire locked with their own Princess, and they're also unable to use Nibiru, which is really nice. So you want them to Princess early, or you make them go IP into SP right away because you apply pressure. You can just go immediately battle phase. And then if they do that, then they use a monster effect. So then when they go SP Lolo Knight to banish your Fenrir, you can go, okay, sure, Fenrir, target your SP, or something else, and then they have to chain, okay, SP, banish my own SP, and either like one of their monsters or your own Fenrir, and then you get back the Fenrir back on the end phase. That's actually insane. Same thing with like how when you imperm a Fenrir, you don't really feel like you're negging because the Fenrir gets unnegated on the end phase, so next turn, it's back to being like a huge threat. So it's the same thing with like SP sometimes. If they have to like double banish just so that you don't have the Fenrir on the field, and then you can go, okay, like summon another Fenrir or something, which is insane. It's the same thing with like the Princess as well. When they destroy it and you're like, okay, drop another one and then attack, banish something. So yeah, you're trying to play 3 Fenrir most of the time. The worst case scenario is you drawing like 2 or maybe 3 Fenrir, and it can work out usually if people don't know that you've got multiple Fenrirs in your hand. Now for the decks that can't play Fenrir very well, obviously everybody knows that Vanquished Soul can play Fenrir because it searches Rizard. Rizard is a fire monster. You can also normal summon the Rizard and then banish another Fenrir, it becomes level 7, then you can make Draco Sack, whatever, or you can make pretty much any rank 7. You can go for the Raid Raptor Arsenal Falcon and summon Fire King Consort Volcanics. So even in the Fire King deck, it could be nice once we get that new card, even if every single Snake Eye cards die, because Fire King is going to be playable as a pure deck once we get that. You can also play Fenrir in decks like Pure Snake Eyes, obviously, because the Abel Star is pretty much a free discard, and it's just a really good non-engine card to play. You can play Fenrir really well in Voiceless Voice, but watch out because Saphira is the only one that can allow you to use Fenrir either from the hand or field as a ritual material, because it doesn't care whether it's a light monster or not, whereas the ritual spell does, so you can't do that. And obviously, if you're playing Labyrinth, then it's a free discard for your furniture monsters. So yeah, I want to say Fenrir is pretty much always good. I really recommend looking into it. And again, if it dodges the ban list for some miraculous reason, this card will like double in value, like 100% guaranteed. It might be a good investment, but it also might not be. It depends. I think worst case scenario is going to get limited. I don't think it's going to get banned. I don't think there's anything to really lose from buying like 2 Fenrirs right now. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts about Fenrir in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.